The rain on Coveth-9 didn't fall so much as it bled. Thick, oily drops hissed when they hit the black soil, dissolving in puffs of acid steam. The planet was a hunting ground. No cities, no lights, only forests of metallic vines and plains littered with bones from the last game. Tonight the game was her. Her name was Mira Kale, a human ex-soldier turned scavenger. She came here for scrap metal and lost technology. Things people whispered about but never touched. She hadn't come looking for a fight, but the universe rarely cared what she wanted. The hunt began at dusk. 10 of them, alien warriors called the Tarnek, descended from orbit in armored drop pods. Each one wore bone-plated exosuits carved from past kills. Their species was bred for sport and cruelty. They called it the Rite of the Red Eclipse, a ritual where they hunted sentient prey for trophies. A human woman alone on an unclaimed planet was the perfect target. When the first pod broke the atmosphere, Mira was in the ruins of an old research station, cutting through rusted panels for power cores. The air shimmered with heat and distant thunder. She looked up and saw the red contrails streaking the sky. "Damn it," she muttered, pulling her rifle from her pack. The weapon was old, scavenged, and patched with mismatched tech. But it fired straight, and that was enough. Her wristband crackled to life with static, the voice of her ship's AI slicing through the interference. "Mira, I detect multiple hostiles descending. Energy readings consistent with Tarnek armor. I recommend immediate evacuation." "Evacuation's not an option. My ship's in drydock 2 clicks away." "Then I suggest you start running." The first kill. The first alien landed nearby, shaking the ground. Mira ducked into the remains of the control tower and peered through her scope. The Tarnek warrior stood 8 feet tall, his armor gleaming like polished obsidian. His mask bore tusks made from the jaws of a predator she didn't recognize. He scanned the horizon with a humming visor. Mira watched him switch between visual spectrums, scanning for heat, movement, sound. She exhaled slowly and whispered, "You're not the only one with toys." Her rifle's thermal dampener flicked on. She moved like a shadow between the skeletal remains of the station, setting traps, fragmentary grenades rigged with motion sensors. When the alien advanced, the trap blinked red. The explosion tore through his armor. Shards of bone and metal scattered into the acid rain. He didn't even scream, just dropped, twitching as his mask rolled away. Mira approached slowly, crouching by his head. Beneath the armor, his skin was mottled gray and scaled like stone. She touched his mask, still hot from the blast, and whispered, "One." She clipped the mask to her belt and disappeared into the storm. The hunt escalates. By nightfall, 3 of the 10 had fallen. They came in formation, thinking she'd run. She didn't. She turned the ruins into a trap-filled maze, luring them one by one into ambushes. But the Tarnek adapted fast. Their leader, Vorik the Bloodtaken, was no fool. He studied her patterns, learned her weapons, and began to coordinate the rest. When Mira checked her ammo count, 12 plasma cells left, she heard the sound that chilled her spine. A shriek, low and guttural, echoed across the plain. "They've activated a blood beacon," her AI warned. "They're hunting you by scent now. Then I'll give them something to choke on." She smeared herself with the blood of one fallen Tarnek, masking her scent with theirs. It burned her skin but hid her from the beacon sensors. Then she ran, through the acid rain, into the broken forest where the trees were spiked with metallic thorns. Behind her the hunters spread out. Vorik barked orders in a harsh, clicking tongue. They moved with frightening discipline, using triangulation patterns and sonic nets. Mira had seen tactics like that once, on the human battlefronts of Zydra 4. She'd survived that too. She rigged a series of trip mines along the ravine. The explosions came in quick succession, blue plasma lighting the night. 2 more Tarnek went down screaming, their armor melting into slag. 4, Mira whispered, bleeding from her shoulder. Let's finish this. The trap of Vorik. Vorik didn't take the bait. He was too smart. While she fought his pack, he circled behind her, watching from the cliffs. When she finally reached her ship, a rusting hauler named the Lark, he was waiting. The moment she stepped onto the landing pad, his plasma spear pinned her rifle to the ground. He dropped down from above, landing in front of her with a snarl. "You fight well, Prey," Vorik growled through his translator mask. His voice was deep, almost human. "But this is not a duel. It is a harvest." Mira spat blood. "You sure about that?" He charged, swinging his spear. She ducked, rolled, and drew her sidearm, a compact ion pistol. The shots sparked against his armor. He caught her by the throat, lifting her off the ground. His mask's eyes glowed crimson. "You've killed 6 of my brothers. Their skulls will decorate your grave. Then you'll need a bigger grave," she rasped. She jammed a plasma cell into his chest armor and kicked off him. The cell detonated midair, blasting Vorik backward through the hull of the Lark. Fire washed over the platform. Mira hit the deck hard, coughing through the smoke. When the flames died, Vorik was gone. His armor cracked but intact. He had survived, limping into the night. The 9th and the silence. The hunt stretched into the next day. Mira barely slept, scavenging what she could. Her AI kept her alive, mapping the alien movements, analyzing their gear. "Mira, they're regrouping near the eastern ridge. Only 2 left besides Vorik. Then that's where I'm going." She moved through the fog-covered cliffs, silent and patient. The last 2 Tarnek set traps of their own. Snares, tripwires, plasma turrets. She disarmed them one by one, marking their locations with phosphor dust. Then she turned their traps back on them. When the first warrior walked into his own net, the plasma turret vaporized him from the waist up. The second came running to help, only to find Mira standing behind him, blade drawn. One clean strike and he fell. She took their skull masks and laid them in a line on the ground. 9, she whispered. Only 1 left. The final duel. The final confrontation came under the eclipse. Koveth 9's twin suns dimmed, swallowed by the shadow of the moon. The planet glowed red. Acid rain fell like blood. In that eerie twilight, Vorik returned. His armor repaired, his spear reforged. His roar shattered the silence. "Mira Kale, come face your end." She stepped out from behind a boulder, cloak torn, face streaked with soot and blood. "You first." They circled each other in the storm. Vorik towered over her, his breath steaming in the cold air. "You think this is victory? You think you've hunted me?" "I don't think," she said. "I make sure." He lunged. She dodged, parried with her knife, sparks flying as steel met alien alloy. He swung the spear again, cutting a deep line across her arm. She staggered back, clutching the wound, but her eyes never left his. They fought across the ridge, their battle lighting the storm. Every strike echoed against the cliffs. At last, Vorik disarmed her, sending her knife spinning into the mud. He raised his spear for the killing blow. That's when she smiled. He didn't notice the blinking light beneath his feet, the mine she'd buried hours before. Her blood had drawn him exactly where she wanted. The explosion tore through the ridge. Vorok's body was thrown into the air, armor shattering. Mira fell to her knees, shielding her face from the debris. When the dust settled, she limped toward the crater. Vorok lay dying. His mask cracked open, revealing pale eyes and fanged teeth. He tried to speak, but she silenced him with one word. 10. She took his skull. Aftermath 3 days later, the storm broke. Mira stood beside the landing pad. Her ship repaired with parts salvaged from the Tarnek pods. The AI reported clean skies and no hostile signals. For the first time in days, the horizon was quiet. She walked to a mound near the edge of the clearing. 10 alien skull masks were mounted on metal spikes, arranged in a perfect half-circle. The acid rain had begun to eat through them, leaving trails of smoke as they hissed. "You could sell those," the AI said softly through her comms. "Not interested." "Then why keep them?" "A reminder. They thought I was prey." She turned and looked toward the distant mountains. Somewhere out there, the Tarnek homeworld would learn what had happened here. Maybe they'd come for her. Maybe they wouldn't. She almost hoped they would. Epilogue. The message weeks later across the galaxy. A transmission arrived at the Tarnek High Citadel. It was untraceable, sent through a dozen relays. The image that flickered onto their command screen made the warlord's eyes narrow. It was a woman, human, standing beneath a red eclipse. Around her, 10 skulls gleamed on spikes. No words, no sound, just silence. And at the bottom of the image, burned into the data feed, a single human phrase translated by their system. "Hunt me again. I'll return more than your skulls." The screen went dark. Author's note/story reflection Mira Kale vanished from every known registry soon after that transmission. Rumors spread through mercenary channels about a ghost hunter who stalked the Tarnek patrol routes, dismantling ships and leaving behind piles of bones. Some said she became a legend. Others said she died on another world, fighting the same kind of monsters that once hunted her. But among the Tarnek, her name became sacred, a curse and a warning. To hunt her was to invite silence. And in the blood-soaked rain of Koveth 9, her skulls still gleamed.